Welcome to this video where we're going to have a look at how to create the sales performance report. This is also something that a few of you had some issues with last term. Now, when you create this report, it's really important to make sure that you have read and understood this section here carefully and properly. So, what we need to show in the report, okay, so we need to show the staff member's name and their position, and then we want to show these things: how many outbound calls they've made, the number of loans they sold, the number of insurance policies they sold. Now we need also to read this next bit here and understand it. We need to group by position, so we'll have the position and then the different people that hold that position will be shown as a group. Then we want to basically add up the number of outbound calls that they've made and how the average number that they've made, and then the number of loans, the number of insurance policies, and we want to have basically a total for each group, and then also some grand totals and averages at the end, and we want to save it as sales performance. So let's go and have a look at that. Now let's have a look at one that I've done previously. Okay, so this is the end product here. This is what we want to produce. So as I was saying before, we want to show the position, and so here's the position of account manager, and here are the different account managers. So we're showing the name, personal number, outbound calls. So notice we've got the sum of that, and then we've got the average, sorry, not for each person but for each position, and then the number of loans sold for each person, and then the sum of that. Okay, if I scroll down, okay, we've got the grand total and overall average at the bottom here. This goes over, looks like just one page at the moment, so that's all good. Okay, and once again I've got a bit of dummy data in here about the President, Fred Flintstone, etc., but it's the process of making this which is important, so yours may look a little different without having some of this rubbish data in here. Okay, so let's close that and let's try and recreate that. Right, so we're going to go to create. We're going to go to our report wizard is the best way to do this one. Okay, so here is our table. What do we need in it? Not everything. We do need to know the personal number, first name, last name, yep, outbound calls, loans, insurance. But we don't need to know the bonuses and the dates and stuff here. We do need to have position though. Right, so once we've got that, excuse me, let's go next. Right, do you want to add any grouping levels? Well, yes we do. We want to group by position. So let's highlight that, click the right chevron here, and this is now grouping by position. Any grouping options? No, not really. Okay, let's go next here. Do we want to sort things? Well, yeah, maybe we do. Maybe it's good if we actually have the within each group we actually sort, say, by the person's surname, so we get it alphabetical. That's not a requirement of the assessment or practice assessment, but it's just good practice. And we do need to have the summary options here. This is where we're going to get the sum of various things. So we wanted the sum of the outbound calls. Let's just check that again. Okay, so we want the total and average of the outbound calls, the number of loans, the number of insurance these policies sold. So let's go back to here. So we want sum and average, sum, sum. Okay. Next, let's make that landscape. Adjust the field width, yes. And this was going to be called sales performance. Now since I've already got sales performance, I'll call the sales performance 1. You just need to call it sales performance. Finish. Okay, Now, because I haven't added a whole lot of different fields that I didn't need, I'm not running into the same problem some of you guys had, which was having all of this sort of spread out and a whole lot of stuff jammed in at the edge here. So have I got all the various fields I wanted? Yes, I do. Now I do still need to tidy up the formatting of this. Okay, what you might be able to see is that we've got too much room here, 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 and this could be moved over, and we've got these horrible, I don't know, boxes around each of these things here, which I hate, and the summary for position, we don't really need to have that. So let's close the print preview. Okay, it's opened up here in this view. I think I'm actually going to swap to layout view. The property sheet, don't really need that at the moment. If I need to get back to it, I'll click up here at any stage. Okay, so I'm going to go to the layout view, but easier to format things here. Right, so this is the position. Now I don't want to move the heading, but I do want to narrow this down a bit. So just need to check that that's okay. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, and then I want to move these names over. Okay, and notice I've got first name and then last name and then personnel number. That's a bit unfortunate. Perhaps I really want the personnel number and then the first name and then last name. So that might in fact be easier to do if we go to design view. Right, so let's get the personnel number over here. Now there's two things I need to select together. That's the heading and then the actual field itself. And I'm going to use the left arrow key, not my mouse, to move this over. Okay, that's going to be about right, I think. Okay, and then last name. Once again, click on that, hold down the control key, sorry, not control key. Yes, in fact it is the control key. Just notice that this is very wide here. So I'm just going to click away and then I'm just going to narrow the size of this a bit. Oops, Control Z. If you make a mistake, I want to get that double-headed arrow there. So I just want to make that narrower. And let's check first name also too wide. Let's go to the end there, make that narrower. Okay, so last name, clicking on that, hold down control, click on that one, then use the right arrow key this time to move that over. Go to first name, hold down control, select both, move that over. Let's see if that's going to look okay. And let's move the last name over. Right, having done all those changes, let's go and have a look at it. Okay, so is that looking the way I want? Yeah, pretty much. Perhaps a little too cramped here. Notice that this account manager name of account manager is sort of overlapping a bit the personnel number heading there. So perhaps we do need to move this slightly to the right now. And then we want to move these things over. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, now either layout view or design view here would be fine. Just to show you how you can do this in layout view, make sure you click on the heading, hold down control, multi-select these things. Notice that when you select the field, all of these things are getting selected here. Okay, and then just use the right arrow key, move them over a bit, or you can drag them with the mouse as well. Don't know why it's jumping to the bottom of the screen there every time. Slightly annoying, but I think we've achieved what we want. We've got that over. That's good. Right, let's move the outbound calls, the loans and the insurance over. And at the same time, let's get rid of the summary thing here. Now I might do that actually in design view. Okay, so this summary is actually at the bottom of each position. Notice it says position footer here, so I want to simply select that and delete it. Now we do have a bit of a gap here. If we need to later, we'll close that gap up. Now what we need to move when we move, say, the outbound calls is all of these things here, not the page number, but I want to get that heading. Hold down Control. I want to get that detail, so this is the outbound calls for each person now, and then the sum, the average, and then the grand total. We want to select that as well and then move them all over. Some of you guys last term were just moving some of that and end up pretty much with a mess. Okay, let's do the same now with the loans. So the loans, that one, and that one. Now as we're doing this, you might notice we've got something missing from the grand totals and things down the bottom, whereas the overall average, the average of the outbound calls as the grand in this report footer here. So we're going to need to put that in. Now this loans heading here, okay, that's should be pretty much okay. Might want to just widen the width of that particular one on its own, so it sort of matches the width of the others. Okay, let's go over and select the insurance. If we have a bit of room on the right hand side, is that a problem? No. Okay, and might just widen that. Oop, that didn't work, so I need to reselect this. I do want to widen them all. Okay, let's go and have a look and see how that looks. So back to design, and we want the report view. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so things we need to fix up. Okay, these boxes, they look pretty awful, and this heading here, we need to change that to quick access loans, sales performance, and we need to get the grand average down the bottom here as well. Okay, so yeah, we do have too much of a gap here basically, so that was another thing we need to fix up. So let's go into design view. Right, let's fix up this gap here, and then we'll put this correct heading in. So how do I do that, this gap here? Well, I can simply go to here and drag up, but if I do, then that won't work because these things are in the way. So I actually need to select all of these things that are in this position footer, use the up arrow carefully just to move them up, and then click away, and then go to here. Notice how the cursor changes, and let's drag that section up a little bit. Right, if that's worked, let's go and check it. Yeah, that looks a bit better, less of a gap there. Right, back to design view. Right, this heading here, maybe you need to widen that, and we want to call this, put the name of the company in here, so Quick Access Loans Limited, performance, sales performance. We don't need the one there. Alright, so how does that look? Good. Back to design view. Right, these borders around this here. Now, let me just check to see once again what had the borders. So it was the sum, basically these totals here. So in layout view, I'm going to click on one of those, format, shape outline, transparent, and I just need to keep repeating that for all of these different ones here. Now these are applying to the ones underneath as well, so it's not as bad as it looks. I only need to do that about 4 or 5 times. 4 times. Alright, so back to report view. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, happier with that. Okay, now what next? Oh yes, this thing that happens with access here. Okay, we've got a number of decimal places here, and I've also just noticed I didn't remove the boxes from the grand total down here. Okay, so let's see if we can get the average of the outbound calls showing only 1 or 2 decimal places. So how to do that? If we go to design view, one thing we might try and do is to set the property. So let's go here, and where is the property sheet? There it is. So we've got that text format. There's the control. Okay, format, decimal places, auto. Let's try and set that to 1. Okay, and let's close the property sheet. Let's save this, and let's have a look at the view. Okay, and nothing's happened. It's still as horrible as it was before, and this is a problem I've found with Access in the past as well. You set the properties and nothing happens. Thank you, Microsoft. So how do we fix it up? Okay, we can fix it up by narrowing the width of this box here. Now before we do that, I actually want to copy this formula here, because down the bottom we should have had the average of the outbound calls as a grand average of the whole report. So I want to basically take this heading here and this and put a copy of that down here. So how to do that? We need to make some room for that copied formula. Click on that, hold down Control, click on that one. I'm going to copy that, go down to this section down here, and let's paste that. Now it's not in the right position, but while it's still selected, use the down arrow and then the right arrow, get that across there a bit. Now yeah, it's not lining up perfectly. In fact, I want to line up the formula more than anything else, so line that up. And this thing here, okay, if I hold the top right hand corner, left hand corner, okay, that I can move that separately from this one. Now this is giving me a warning message here. It says this is a new label and not associated with a control. Not really an issue. Okay, we can call this grand average, and maybe move that across slightly a bit more. I want to line it up with the other heading above it. Right, let's just check that. Go down the bottom. Do we have the grand average? Yeah, we do. Once again, too many decimal places. Right, let's go back to our layout view. Alright, so let's get rid of these outlines. What did I do there? I chose a color. I'll make them transparent. Okay, it's all good. And now what can we do about this big number of decimal places? What we can do is narrow the width of the box. So what I've done is I've clicked in one of those, this long average. It's selected the other ones as well. That's not a big deal. Let's just narrow that down, and as you can see here, we get fewer decimal places. And let's go to 2 decimal places if you want 1, so we make it smaller. Go too far, drag it back. Okay, so we've got 1 decimal place showing. Let's do the same for this down here. Okay, now is it a big issue that, you know, the decimal point doesn't really line up with the supposed other decimal points, because really the 1 should line up with the ones here? Not on this report. I think, you know, is the communication clear here? Well, yes it is, so that's good enough for me. Okay, and that I think would be an acceptable report. Now if you do want to do other things like, you know, make this a bit darker, or have a horizontal line here to separate out the various positions, you could. Okay, just show you, you know, how can I change this here? Well, simply click on format and you can change the, say, font color. Okay, you can make it italic, but when you do, make sure that it, you know, it looks good. If you're not happy with that, Control Z a couple of times, take us back there. Okay, what about a horizontal line across here? Well, that's going to be easiest achieved in design view. It's actually going to be then at the bottom of the position here. We want to put this horizontal line in here. So if I go to design, choose the line tool, get this little cursor here, and I want a horizontal line that's going to go across the bottom here. So to make it horizontal, hold down shift as you click and then drag to the right. Doesn't matter if it doesn't quite go right to the absolute edge. Now that's still selected there, okay, and if you want to then get the line thickness changed to say slightly thicker, do it at that stage there. Okay, let's have a look and see what that looks. Okay, all good. Notice we've still got one page, which is what I'm after. I don't want to go to 2 pages. Okay, happy with that report. So there we go, got sales performance report done.